In this video, you will learn the 10 signs that your man is falling out of love with you. So if you're seeing changes in your relationship that are bothering you, or if you're concerned that your man doesn't feel the way he used to, then this is the video for you. Don't go anywhere because we're starting right now. Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Antonio Borrello and I'm a psychologist and a relationship coach. This channel is all about helping you build great relationships so you can grow happy with the people you love. So if you're interested in making your love life the best part of your life, start now by clicking the subscribe button and hit the bell notification so you aren't missing anything. Okay, on to the signs that a man doesn't love you like he did before. Have you heard the saying, love is blind, or that someone is blinded by love? It's a real thing, and it refers to how being in love affects your ability to see your partner's flaws and shortcomings. And love can also affect your judgment, making it difficult to recognize and accept the warning signs that your partner doesn't love you or want the relationship anymore. That's why I'm going to share the top 10 signs that he's falling out of love, so you know what's happening and can talk to him about it. So without further ado, here's number 10. He's spending more time with his friends. I'm starting the list with this one because this one is only sometimes a bad sign. Sometimes spending more time with friends and family is a sign of a healthy relationship progression. See, oftentimes when people fall in love and develop new relationships, they spend every waking and sleeping moment with their new partner. So much so that they are neglecting other important relationships and responsibilities. And eventually, after some time, they get more comfortable with the relationship and recognize that they need some balance and thus start spending more time with friends and family. And this is not a bad thing. In fact, it's a sign of adjustment. However, spending more time with family and friends becomes a red flag when it becomes imbalanced and your relationship is now being neglected. So if you've been together for some time and now suddenly he is going out with his friends every weekend and not making time for the relationship, yeah, then that's a problem. Number 9, failure to communicate. Communication is essential to all relationships. Think about how you communicated in the beginning. You engage in endless text conversations about what you're up to. You make late night phone calls to see how his day went. You find any excuse to communicate with that person. But has this stopped happening? Does your partner no longer ask about your day, or does he appear to be disinterested or even annoyed by these conversations? Or are either of you no longer talking about issues or communicating about things that bother you? Those are huge red flags. And that's because a lack of communication or a significant decrease in the quality and quantity of your communications can be a sign that the relationship is on its way out or that one of you has checked out. Failing to communicate will leave a big void in your relationship and cause minor problems to spiral into unnecessary issues. So if you need to know for sure, you can try going for an afternoon walk or to your favorite restaurant with no phones or distractions and see how the conversation goes. If it proves to be difficult, or if you feel like you have to pull on his teeth to get him to agree to a conversation with no distractions, well, that's certainly not a good sign. Number 8, he's always bored. Does your man always complain of being bored or that his life isn't exciting like it once was? Many individuals report boredom as a telltale sign that a relationship is in trouble. If your partner is feeling bored with the relationship or with life in general, it might mean that he's no longer in the right situation. Think about this. The opposite of love is not hate. The opposite of love is indifference, not caring at all. If he doesn't care what you do, where you go, or even if he sees you, then he's indifferent about you and bored with the relationship. And yeah, that's a sign that it's time to move on. Number 7, changes in your sex life. Sex is an important foundation for a loving relationship. And in the beginning, when two people are falling in love, it happens very frequently. But for obvious reasons, many couples are unable to keep up that pace, and that isn't necessarily a warning sign. Sporadic or occasional sex is one thing. Going months or years without sex is quite another. So changes in the bedroom aren't always a relationship death sentence, but in combination with other factors, they can mean that something isn't right. Sex is much more than just physical intercourse. It allows partners to be vulnerable and emotionally open with each other. It's part of the glue that keeps couples together. What I'm saying, if you've noticed a significant decrease in your sex life or motivation towards sexual relations, this signifies disconnection. It may just be a temporary reaction to stress, but If it's been going on for some time, it could indicate a relationship decline. Pay attention. If you go away on a romantic weekend and are still not having sex, or if sex has become a chore, then that's a serious problem. Number 6, he's complaining about your flaws. When you're in love with someone, you tend to see the good in them more readily than the bad. But if he loses sight of all the positive qualities that made you interesting, it could be a sign that things are heading south. Or if the things that irritate him or his pet peeves about you are becoming more and more obvious and getting on his nerves, be aware. When he starts complaining about the way you do things, even though you've always done them the same way, that's the beginning. And let me explain why. See, when a person experiences increased sensitivity to trivial or small stuff, it's the brain trying to tell them something. It has to do with cognitive dissonance. They're starting to feel disconnected and maybe that the relationship isn't right. So they stack up evidence to support and justify their feelings of disconnection. And if there are enough of those little problems and all the dots connect, that gives them justification to make the break. If he never has anything positive to say, or if he's constantly speaking poorly of you or bad-mouthing you, then your relationship is in trouble. Number 5, he doesn't get affectionate or kiss you like before. Every couple has their own way of expressing their affection towards one another. Some couples are touchy-feely. Others whisper sweet nothings to each other or write each other love notes. Couples do cute romantic things to let their partner know that they feel close. It's the romance that makes you feel like a couple. But when you're no longer touching affectionately or focusing on making the other person happy, then the relationship needs an emotional overhaul. If the feelings and impulses aren't there anymore for you or for him, it's definitely time to have a proper conversation. Now, the next 4 might seem more obvious, but keep watching because they're the most important ones. If any of these are happening in your relationship, you really must find out why. Number 4, you're not talking about the future or your goals don't align. When you're in a healthy relationship, you and your partner are constantly thinking about building a future together. If this was an active part of your dialogue before and now the conversation sounds more and more short-term, this is a major indicator that your minds are in different places. Or if you find yourself in a relationship where your goals and dreams don't really align, then your relationship has an expiration date. For example, let's say that you've always wanted children, but now your partner is not so sure. Well, this is a deal breaker. You could wait for years on end, and maybe it will work out. But if your partner is crystal clear that he's not having children, don't fool yourself into thinking that he's going to change. Number 3, he avoids going home. If you and your partner live together and yet he is constantly looking for excuses to stay out, or he's looking for excuses to get away, your relationship is in jeopardy. Let me give you some examples. Someone taking the extra long way home, or driving around the block a few extra times to listen to more music, or making excuses to leave the house to run errands without you. Again, if this is happening in isolation, it's probably not a big deal. But if your partner is purposefully staying out later than usual, you've got to consider the meaning behind his behavior. It might mean that your relationship has soured and you just don't want to be around each other at all. Number 2, he refuses to go to couples therapy. If things are not going well in your relationship and you or your partner refuses to get help to fix things, this is a major indicator that things probably aren't going to work out. Let's say that you've been having some problems and in disagreement for a long time, or you have tried to work things out on your own but find that you're both stuck in your own corner. Well, couples therapy can be very helpful. Perhaps you've even suggested counseling and he does nothing or refuses to go. You've got to question why. Has he already checked out and has no desire to reconcile? While you might hope that things will change on their own, his lack of interest in getting help is a clear sign that he doesn't care. Before I get to the last one, I have a question for you. What are some signs that you've noticed that convinced you that your relationship was on the rocks? I'd love to know some of the things that you've noticed so I can include them on another video. So please take a moment and leave a comment and let me know some important signs that I might have missed. I promise to read and answer all of them. And number 1, your intuition is telling you that something is wrong. You know that voice inside your head that tries to tell you when something's wrong? You know, it's the one that you ignore when you don't like what it's saying? Well, listen to it. Sometimes your body can pick up on changes in your partner's feelings long before your brain acknowledges it. You can sense it in his mood or in his body language, even though nothing has occurred and he hasn't said anything. Think about this. Are you always the one reaching out, making plans, making an effort, and showing up? If so, ask yourself this question. If you stopped doing these things, if you stopped initiating, what would happen to the relationship? Would it be over? If your inner voice is telling you that something is not right or telling you that his head or heart is somewhere else, listen and follow your intuition. Have a heart-to-heart conversation with him and find out what's going on. Because if you don't, it will only get worse. And if you've had trust issues before and can't rely on your gut instinct, at the very least, use this as a starting point to look out for the other 9 signs that I've mentioned. So there you have it, the top 10 signs that he doesn't love you like he did before. If you found this video helpful and informative, please hit that thumbs up button. And if you're interested in building great relationships and growing happy with the people you love, make sure that you've subscribed and click the bell notification so you aren't missing anything. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.